Hello, and congratulations to all our splendid graduates. My name's Laura Kalman, and I'm here to introduce the winner of this year's Buchanan Award, the highest award that our department offers. I met Gabby Birog when she was a freshman. She was taking my American Survey course, History 17C. I'm a nervous lecturer, and I would always get to class really early so that I could pace around the stage and get my PowerPoints ready. Well, Gabby, with her friend Joaquin, was always there ahead of me. And since then, she's remained far ahead of me. As you'll see, she combines excellence with humanity and brings to her task an historian's sensibility and a passion for social justice. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabrielle Anne Birog. I am a graduating senior studying both history and psychological and brain sciences, and an incoming student at UC Berkeley Law School. I am a first-generation college student, a proud daughter of Filipino immigrants, and now the 2020 recipient of the A. Russell Buchanan Award. I want to start by expressing my gratitude to Corey, Dr. Erica Rappaport, and the selection committee for choosing me to receive this extraordinary honor. When I was still in consideration for this award, Corey asked me to provide a statement with answers to some questions. Two of these questions were, how did the study of history benefit me, and how it has influenced my career trajectory? I begin these remarks by expanding on my answers to these questions. For the first question, how history has benefited me, studying history enabled me to examine contemporary issues in a different light. Prior to my undergraduate studies, I studied history with regard to the rise of the West, which, as Antoinette Burton and Tony Ballantyne mentions, admired the energy, creativity, and influence that stemmed from Western Europe and North America. I studied a perspective of history that glorified the expansion efforts of major global powers, but did little to consider those negatively impacted by these momentous changes brought forth by modernity. These communities are the downcast, the marginal, the exploited. This perspective erases the narratives of oppression and struggle of colonized and indigenous peoples, the working class, the enslaved, and people of color. Through several courses at UCSB, I learned the importance of thinking about the past through these experiences and perspectives. The stories of atrocity in the Pacific Asia region during World War II, heartbreaking slave narratives, and the accounts from the colonized are just a few examples of forgotten history that we as scholars need to shed light on. Studying the past through this new lens enabled me to understand some of the major issues we face today. I learned how and why we got here. But on a more personal level, hearing the stories from these communities inspired me to reflect on my own identity as a Filipino American and to begin my own personal process of decolonization. I learned to honor the courage of my ancestors and other Filipinos who fought for self-determination against their oppressors while under occupation. I acknowledge that prior to colonization and the stamping of my people's culture, they used a different form of written and spoken language and had different beliefs and practices. As of now, I am taking personal steps to reclaim my identity and reaffirm pride in my culture. For the other question, how did it influence my career trajectory? My experience with the UCSB History Department's courses and seminars influenced my career in a significant way. Just to provide a bit of context, I've wanted to become a lawyer since I was 6 years old. In elementary school, I was the girl who taped hand-drawn flyers onto trees that read, "Don't litter," and spoke up on behalf of classmates when they were bullied in the schoolyard. I wanted to advocate for those who felt they did not have a voice. Since then, I shaped all my decisions around attending law school. One of these important decisions was choosing my majors. I knew I wanted to study psychology. I wanted to uncover the truth behind human behavior. For my second major, I initially chose political science. I had this preconceived notion that it was the pre-law major. Little did I know, it does not matter what your major is, so long as you thrive in your courses. From personal experiences, if you do not enjoy your courses, then you will not be as motivated to do well. Struggling to find this enjoyment and passion in politics, I switched to history after enjoying several classes in the department. In fact, History 17C, which is history of the 20th century to the present, with my faculty mentor, Dr. Kalman, was the class that compelled me to sign the petition to change my major to history. Although there is no such thing as a pre-law major, I truly believe that history is the best major for law school and anyone interested in a legal career for a few reasons. First, history courses trained me to critically read and analyze dense text, which will prepare me for the heavy amount of reading in law school. Second, the common law system uses prior rulings as a guide for decisions on future cases. As I learned in my courses, historians are concerned with change and continuity over time. In a similar fashion, the legal system demonstrates continuity in their reliance on precedent, but also over time, the law adapts to changes occurring in society. Lastly, a lawyer must gather the facts to determine causes of action to create a solid case on behalf of their client. Historians, similarly, learn to read and analyze primary and secondary sources to craft an argument based on the evidence. Above all, my participation in the department's honors thesis program solidified my passion for the law. More specifically, writing my thesis allowed for me to identify the population that I believe is in most need of legal representation. For my paper, entitled Resolving the Revolving Door, the Legal System's Efforts to Mitigate the Mental Health Crisis in the Criminal Justice System, I decided to combine my passion and knowledge in the law, history, psychology, and mental health by exploring our country's mental health care system. The mentally ill are among the most disadvantaged members of our society. They struggle with symptoms that society considers deviant behavior, are negatively represented in popular media, and face barriers to education and employment. I was particularly interested in addressing the disproportionate amount of mentally ill individuals in the criminal justice system, and how important legal scholars and judicial actors address this mental health crisis. My research brought me to David Wexler's judicial philosophy of therapeutic jurisprudence, which ascertains the value of using the law to address and remedy the underlying factors of criminal behavior, and the efforts of Judge Ginger Lerner Wren, who designed the first mental health court in the United States. In my paper, I tracked the history of the mental health care system from the country's first asylums to deinstitutionalization, and then concluded with the struggles people with mental health concerns still have today. My goal for this paper was to demonstrate that the plight of the mentally ill in America is no fault of their own, but rather a failure from people in power to educate themselves on mental illnesses, make informed decisions on their behalf, and show compassion for their concerns. I am pleased to hear that the legal system is taking steps to remedy the crisis, but there is still much work that needs to be done. After graduation, I will be attending UC Berkeley School of Law, a place that served and continues to serve as a hotbed for grassroots political activism, an environment that has a politically active and conscientious culture committed to social justice. It is here where I hope to continue my mental health advocacy, speaking on how we can take steps to get rid of the stigma surrounding mental health and conducting research on the intersection between cognition, neurobiology, and the law. As a lawyer, I hope to continue the work of Judge Ginger Lerner Wren by actively listening to my clients' concerns, validating their feelings, and taking the time to address all their needs beyond their legal matters, such as housing, access to treatment, and employment opportunities. Now, I want to take some time to discuss everything going on in the world. We are experiencing a period of uncertainty, anxiety, and social unrest. We are not only battling a deadly pandemic, but also coming to terms once again with the long-term consequences of racial injustice. Our nation's history shows how Black civil rights activists initially used the law as an instrument for social change, which led to the passage of major civil rights initiatives and the important Brown v. Board decision. However, just because you changed the law, it did not change people's racist and segregationist attitudes and mentality. So activists decided to organize forms of nonviolent protests, marches, and sit-ins, which were met with violence and inhumane brutality from the police. While this raised consciousness, civil rights issues took a back seat to the threat of communism, the Cold War, and foreign policy. Reluctant leadership and the prioritization of foreign policy delayed the pace for social change, necessitating this struggle for social justice and racial equality. Decades later, our Black and brown brothers and sisters are still fighting this battle so that their voices are heard. Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd are just 4 of the many Black individuals who lost their lives to police violence. The protests, the civil disobedience, the petitions, and fundraisers are more than holding police officers accountable for their actions. The Black civil rights movement was more than obtaining the right to vote and equal protection under the law. This is the fight to be treated as a human being. This is the fight to be able to breathe. I encourage you all to say their names, stand in solidarity, and show your support for the cause of humanity. History is not just about memorizing dates, people, and places. The beauty and value of studying history is that we can use the lessons from mishaps and atrocities so that they may hopefully never happen again. Only when you get to the root of the problem can you find the solution. History students, I urge you to utilize everything you've learned in your courses, seminars, and independent research to educate others on how and why we got here. Start a dialogue about the complex contemporary issues surrounding human rights worldwide. We need to use our voice so that one day equality won't just be something we strive and fight for, but rather a state of mind against all prejudice. To conclude these remarks, I want to express my gratitude to a few individuals. To my peer editors, Jackie and Andrew, thank you for going along this research journey with me and sending me comments on my outlines and drafts. To all the graduating seniors, congratulations on completing your time here at UCSB. The class of 2020 experienced ups and downs like no other, from fires, mudslides, the pandemic, but we persevered nonetheless and accomplished so much in the midst of adversity. I wish you all the best of luck on your future endeavors and hope we can keep in touch. To Dr. Miroslava Chavez Garcia, thank you for helping all the honor students with their research projects and showing your compassion for your students during these challenging times. To my beloved professor and faculty mentor, Dr. Laura Kalman, for nominating me for this award, guiding me through the research and writing process of my thesis, and believing in my potential as a scholar. I cannot thank you enough for everything you have done for me. Lastly, thank you to my loved ones, to Mom, Dad, my sister Danny, Joaquin, family and friends, for believing in me when I did not even believe in myself, picking me up when I was in a million pieces, and giving me a reason to strive for nothing short of excellence. Thank you again for this award. Good luck to the class of 2020, and I hope you all stay safe, healthy, and strong. We will persist. We will overcome.